Hello, today we're going to talk about the Toyota case involving two parties, the Toyota Manufacturing Company in America and also the chassis company that produced the parts for their new model, Suprema 2003. And from this case, we're going to learn the different challenges that both companies face in this partnership. And there are several lessons that we're going to take from this case, and we're going to analyze what responsibilities and what roles they play on the issues. And also we're going to offer significant solutions that could have been implemented at the proper time in the Toyota Manufacturing Company as well as Chassis Co. Toyota production system started post-war when Japan was facing different economic and financial problems after World War II. One of the approaches that Toyota has in order to face scarcity, lack of money supply, was to create a system that will use all the resources without wasting anything. They call MULA, waste, which that was the focus for Toyota, to reduce any waste in the production process. And for that, they implement two things. First, just-in-time system, and what is known as the Jiroka. These two processes were implemented in the Toyota production system, and it has been successful since then over time. Now, bringing it to the United States, starting the productions here, they set the same model, the same system for the production here. Now, in this case, we're doing the study of the subprime model that happened in 1997 and 2003. Toyota decided to produce the model 1997 with Chassis Co, which they were in charge of producing the rear suspension cradle. And from a management standpoint, Toyota was very satisfied with the performance that they had and how they met their needs of Toyota, and decide, after the success of the 1997 production and the Responsa model, they decide to give more responsibilities to Chassis Co for the projection that they had in the production of the 2003 model. At first, this all seemed like a great idea until in 2000 when they start producing the car. The first challenge that they had is that Chassis Co didn't have a list of the inventory that they have for the Tier 2 in the production, causing Toyota to not meet their needs or not being aware where they were in the production. Therefore, that was the first challenge that they had. And moving on, Chassis Co didn't have enough employers and enough equipment to meet the standards and the quality that Toyota has. The other point was that Toyota recognized the lack of involvement that they had by just trusting the whole process of creation of the parts for the production of these cars. First, I'm going to talk about Chassis Co and their failure to implement and meet the requirements that Toyota had for them initially. Toyota and Chassis Co were operating over their success in the past. They both had partnered in the past and very successfully bring out to the market two different models. And now they wanted to take a bigger challenge, which was the Supreme 2003 model. And they didn't have a clear communication about how demanding this new challenge would take. And Toyota didn't communicate enough what was expected from them. So they embarked on this challenge, and soon enough they realized that Chassis Co didn't have enough infrastructure. There were moments when they needed to grow their manufacturing facility, and they had to shrink space to build more automated machines that would help the production. Also, their supply chain was a complete failure because Toyota expected them to deal more than what they dealt in the past, more of the parts, and not only more parts, but with the high standards that Toyota has for all their products. Chase's fundamental mistake was their lack of clearly and honest communication with Toyota. They should have been able to assess that they were not going to be able to meet what Toyota expected to them, including their ability to deal multiple new parts and at the quality that they require, and also their struggle to implement the culture that Toyota has on their factories. Toyota failed significantly managing the new project, but when I say managing, I don't mean in a way that they're just sending somebody to oversee, but the consistent interaction with the new company, making sure that every process follows their expectations. And this implementation shouldn't have done during the launch, but many years ahead. And they should have been able to assess the lack of facility, infrastructure, labor skills, and management skills that were lacking for Chasis Co. when dealing with the supply chain. Among those issues, Toyota failed to realize that this project was going to take more resources than they expected. They needed. Okay, so we have finished reviewing the background of the Toyota and Chasis Co. case. We also review what were the fundamental problems that Toyota had and Chasis Co. had when they were working on the subprime model. Now we're gonna talk about what are some of the solutions that we suggest for this case.
My recommendation to Toyota would be not to assume that their suppliers have the ability to take on an increased responsibility, especially when they're not fully Toyota compatible like we talked about earlier. In the future, if they do attempt to create an equal partnership with a supplier, they do need to choose an experienced Toyota staff to oversee the entire operation until the supplier is confident they are sufficient without it. According to an article online by Melanie, when choosing a supplier, it is essential to assess each potential supplier and consider these key aspects: price, value, reliability, stability, location, and cultural fit. Cultural fit is the big one here. Choosing the wrong supplier can lead to a lot of issues, causing the company to lose a lot of time and money. It is really important to take the time to assess and choose the right fit. On the other hand, Toyota had options for resolving the crisis. They had a choice for resolving the issues and regaining routine. The corporation could have stopped Chasco Company and redirected the work to a capable plant, one that expressed interest and had the capacity to deliver. However, when switching suppliers, they must use a phased approach so that they don't have a complete shutdown. Another error was thinking that Chasco had the appropriate project management skills to work with Toyota. They couldn't trace parts across their system, so Toyota had to recognize this and address it by creating a parts tracking system. So next time, Toyota should investigate acquiring new suppliers who can help them improve their quality and consistency of their manufacturing operations. My recommendation for Chasico, if I were in charge, would be to identify and prioritize the problem. Then I would create a checklist of the plant's processes and procedures. Next, I would follow all of the standard protocol for supervising the problematic suppliers. This will incur a bigger responsibility for operations improvement. Chasico is highly vertically integrated. This means that their end-to-end procedures were poorly specified, reinforcing their poor parts visibility. If you organize for effective work design, human resource management, work scheduling, and total quality management, this will help you avoid or reduce further fundamental issues.
As we can see, as we're reviewing this case, Toyota and Chasis Co. had to deal with a lot of communication issues, a lot of planification and a strategy implementation of new manufacturing strategies. Among the problems that they faced was their lack of supply management. Many times they didn't have enough resources and their inventory was not able to meet their needs. Also, they sacrificed a lot of quality while cutting costs in different areas. They failed to deliver all the products on time. I think the Toyota system has a lot of potential and is worldwide recognized if properly implemented. As we offer some of the solutions, a clear communication can make a significant difference in how the company is operated. Proper training for the people so they can develop the necessary skills to manage supplies, manage labor, and also the proper time to have enough resources to manage and execute their plans.
I'm going to talk a little bit about Chasco's options for resolving the crisis. Chasco played a larger role in ensuring they met the specifications for the product. They increased its number of employees on multiple occasions, especially when rear suspension welding. The big thing that they should do is evaluate its culture and make it more Toyota compatible. That way it'll aid in resolution and prevent further operation shutdowns. Another thing that they should do is extend its hours of operation to boost production. But according to Rosenfeld, Fine, and Bondini, Toyota reported that they were still in violation of these standards. However, Chasco was able to establish a team to build a rear suspension rather than relying on the general team to produce many products. To be compliant, the Chasco's automation and stamping system must be upgraded. But they can work with Toyota to make sure that their system meets the requirements.
There were several lessons to learn from this case, and among those is clear communications. And Toyota is a great company that has worked hard into developing an efficient way to manufacture their cars. Coming from Japan, it's a transition that involves different cultures, and companies are challenged to transition there, but it's possible with the proper training and the proper planning.